Thank you all for joining us today for this Student Basic Needs Community of Practice. I am very happy to have some students joining us today, having a really important conversation, discussion with them, and having you all join to not only be able to be a part of the discussion, but also ask questions yourself. Um, when we discussed with this group, um, what were some of the things that we wanted to talk about and some of our reasonings for having this conversation, we looked at one of our large upcoming projects, which is focus on communications. And we have a fairly large communication focus for student basic needs. And in that project, we're looking at a student voice piece as well as a student basic needs information, um, and making sure that we have information provided across the state to staff and faculty, to those who are serving our students. And we want to know information that is needed, information that staff and faculty need to support the students, but we also want to know and be able to communicate with our students as we are going about this student basic needs awareness campaign, that we are speaking to the students and having them to advise this work, which is where some of that student voice piece comes from. And I've reached out to some of our partners that work really closely with us on a few of our different projects, and some are pretty excited to be a part. There are a lot of you who were engaged last fall when we first started to discuss the communications project and all that it might entail. I won't review all of that in totality. I will just simply focus on the basic needs awareness piece and the conversations with students. And what we're hoping to do is across the state, we're hoping to be able to have very much needed conversations with students. What has their experiences been like? What does that student journey look like from beginning to the end as it relates to student basic needs? Are they finding out the resources? What are the resources on campus, off campus? What are partnerships that are available that come from agencies from within their city or surrounding counties? Where are the gaps in services? Where are there areas where there's a little bit more need or collaboration? And we're hoping that this basic needs awareness campaign would raise awareness to what's out there, as well as some things that we can change and have an opportunity for development in those areas. Um, so that is what that student awareness campaign pretty much looks like, as well as that student voice piece. We have some of our senior fellows who have graciously agreed to travel within their campuses and their regions to start having these very important conversations. And some of these conversations will be, one-on-one, more interpersonal. But we thought how great of an opportunity it would be to be able to kick off this conversation with our community of practice, get some of the ideas of questions that you all have, as well as some of the things that students would like to discuss. And that is the purpose behind this community of practice. So again, thank you all for joining us. Opening up one of my documents here. I'll go ahead and have our students, I think I see everybody on here now, yes, to go ahead and introduce themselves. And you all can just unmute and go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm going to pull up my document right before this meeting. My computer decided to shut down and reboot. So I was bringing up all of my things. So while you all introduce yourselves, I am going to pull up my discussion guide. And Toby, we can start with you if you don't mind.
Awesome, yeah. Hi everybody, my name is Toby. I am a sophomore at EKU. Um, I've been living on campus for 2 years, and I'm a middle grades education major. with 2 concentrations, and I'm also getting a minor in American Sign Language. Is there anything else I should say?
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thanks, Toby. That's good. Brandy?
I was trying to unmute then, the wrong thing. Hi guys, my name is Brandy Cook. I am a junior at the University of the Cumberlands. I am working on a business major with a minor in social work.
Awesome. Thank you all. And I'm looking around for Miss Adams. I don't see that she's been able to join us just yet. So I will look out for her to join us as we get going. For the sake of the conversation, since it still looks like it might be a pretty small group, I'll just make it even more easy to have this conversation. So while we've had our students to introduce themselves, would you all mind unmuting and just kind of popcorning around and introducing yourselves and your role so that our students can know where you're from and what roles you play at your institutions?
My name is Ed Tommy. I'm chair of the Mathematics and Statistics Department at Murray State University. I don't know anything. I'm just going to be a fly on the wall learning what I can. Thank you.
I'm in Ed's boat. I'm Hannah O'Leary, and I'm the Director of Corporate and Foundation Relations at Center College, and I'm working closely with our new Dean of Student Success on some initiatives, and I'm just listening and learning.
Hi, I'm Susan Hopkins. I'm with the Office of Adult Education, and we have a group of college and career navigators that help our students with basic needs, and so I'm listening on their behalf today.
I'll come in behind Susan. I'm Tina Cook. I'm the program director at Laurel, Whitley, Knox, and Clay County Adult Education Programs, and I am listening on behalf of my college and career navigators.
Hi, I'm Jill Morris, and I am a college and career navigator for Sky CTC and hoping to learn about some new resources to help my students.
I'm Allison. I'm the Assistant Director of Fitness and Wellness at EKU.
Get everyone? All right. And I'm receiving a message. We have one who had to hop off, and I will read the other one. It's perfectly fine. I have Carol Ann Greenwell. Thank you so much for inboxing me. I can read hers. Her sound is not working, so she can't speak in her microphone. But she is a connector from Henderson County Community College. So thank you, Carol Ann, for joining us today for this session. And so I would like to start off with our first question. I got to hear you all introduce your majors and your areas of interest. Would you mind sharing what prompted you to apply to your particular institution and why you chose the major that you're pursuing?
I can start. I picked EKU for a few different reasons. At the time when I was about to graduate looking at colleges, my family lived in London, Kentucky, Laurel County, and it's pretty close to there. They just recently moved to Southern Alabama, so now they're 8 hours away. But I also picked it because of the amount of resources that I saw available for students. And the campus is just absolutely beautiful. It was one of those things where I stepped out of the car. I didn't even get into the building for the campus visit when I came, and I was like, this feels right. I'm supposed to be here. I did pick education. I actually just recently switched my major from history teaching, which would have allowed me to be a high school teacher, to middle grades education. And I chose to be a teacher because some of my teachers were some of the most influential people in my lives when I was in middle school and high school. And I want to be able to do that for students and for other kids who were like me. And then also minoring in American Sign Language. I took 2 years of it in high school. I grew up knowing a deaf man. He was a teacher at my school. And I just kind of fell in love with the language. And now one of my best friends is deaf. I just love having that ability to communicate in other ways than just spoken English.
I love that. That sounds amazing. Thank you. How about you, Brandy?
Okay, so my story is a little different. I got started a little bit later in life. I'm in my 30s. I had attempted college when I first got out of high school, but I was very immature. I hadn't been, didn't grow up in a home where college was talked about much. It wasn't something that, that my family looked at. My mom didn't go to college, and none of my other family members had went to college either. So I really didn't take it seriously as I should have at first. And so, later on down the road, I also had some issues too, where I struggled with mental health and substance use. And so I kind of got off track there for a while. But now I actually, I'm a career coach and I help people find employment. People that struggle kind of the same way I did growing up and going through those things. I try to help other people get enrolled in school and stuff now. So I've got the business major, and I chose that just because it was a broad range of things that I would be able to use that for. And I've got the social work minor because it's something I'm very passionate about. Like I said, I've been through a lot in my life, and so I dedicate my life now to trying to help others reach their educational goals, reach their, get jobs, find employment, and try to build them up the way I had people to build me up. So that's kind of how I ended up where I'm at now.
Awesome. Spoken like a true social worker, Brandy. I love it. Say that as a social worker. Next is, and I've told students when we're preparing for our actual interviews, when we ask this question, there is no right or wrong answer. I just simply want to know what it means to you. So what does basic needs mean to you as a student, what it means to you in your regular everyday life, and if there's a difference, in how you are viewing basic needs on campus and off campus? And Brandy, if you don't mind to take this question first, and
Oh
then
yeah, sorry.
it's
I
okay.
was
I'm
waiting for a
just kind of
second again.
monitoring, looking.
Okay. Will you ask me that again?
Sure. What does basic needs mean to you? And is there a difference in how, that term shows up on campus as a student versus how you might view that term utilized in your everyday life? Sometimes it's not. Just want to know what basic needs means to you.
To me, basic needs means things that are going to help me to achieve what I am wanting to achieve. So, for me, things that I've kind of ran into during my educational journey is, like I mentioned before, I have 3 kids. So childcare has kind of been an issue. Still kind of been an issue. I know that I had tried to get help with childcare there for at some point in time when I was going to the community college, but they didn't have anything in place for that. So that was one thing that I ran into having trouble with. Transportation. That's something that I see as a basic need. You have to have transportation to kind of get to where you need to go and to accomplish things. So just, yeah, basic.
Great. Thank you, Brandy. So Toby, I'll go to you now. What does basic needs mean to you? How does that show up for you as a student? How does that show up to you in your everyday life? And is there even a difference in how you view the meaning of that term?
Yeah, so like she said, transportation is a really big one. I cannot drive. I had some issues with schooling and stuff when I was trying to get my license. So I do not have my license yet, and EKU actually has a bus system on campus that on the weekends it goes to the shopping centers. We have 2 separate shopping centers in Richmond. So it goes to those, and that's really helpful for like students like me who can't drive, to be able to get to the grocery stores and everything as well. I will also say finances is a thing. Nobody really prepares you for that going into college. And like, I'm personally paying my own way through college. I'm not getting any help from my family, and trying to get like scholarships and stuff like that, but then also just making sure like I have enough money to go grocery shopping, or like be able to go do stuff with my friends and everything. Like that is something. And then also just like basic needs like food and clothing and toiletries and stuff like that, is really important. And that's something I don't think a lot of people think about either coming into college.
Thank you very much. I like to ask that question because I think when we start to talk about basic needs, first of all, we were wanting to know, is that even the terminology that if you were seeking out support and help, would you just go type in basic needs to your campus, search? Would you Google basic needs? Is that even what you would even look for? And so we're really trying to even, test out the use of the term and what that looks like, what that means for students. And then basic needs for a lot of people in different areas, different places, and different times in their lives might look a little bit different. And so I appreciate you, Brandy, sharing, the transportation situation, and then Toby shared it in another way. So that is very helpful for us to hear and see. We've been talking about parenting students and adult learners and how some of their basic needs are a little bit different than some of our other student needs. And so that is very helpful to, even hear and solidify some of the work that we're doing there with that. And Toby, I think you hit it right on with some of the other things we've talked about as far as food and toiletries. And we've been having conversations about clothing or access to clothing items. So thank you all for those. And I know both of you all kind of touched on it just a little bit, and I'd like to go just a little bit further into your experiences. So this question, we want to just have you to share a time when you struggled to meet your basic needs while taking classes. If you, received a resource that was helpful, if you didn't receive a resource that was helpful at the time and you figured out what would have been helpful to you. So what was that basic need struggle you were lacking? What was there to help you? And if there wasn't anything helpful, what would have been helpful at that time?
And for me, like when I was talking about, I went through a period of where I became a single mom of my kids, and so um, I was trying to navigate that and a lot of change that was going on with that. And then so that's where the childcare came in, and that's when I realized because I actually about had to quit. I had about actually had to withdraw that semester because I didn't have childcare, and my classes are online, but it's really hard to do them with the kids there. I've tried it; it don't work. So that was a time that I can remember. And I did do some research into it, trying to figure out some kind of help for it. I actually, which I was going to the community college at that point, and they didn't have any resources there. Since I've been going to the university, I haven't had any issues with it, so I don't know if there's anything set in place there or not. But I know with the community college, I did run into that, and it about made me have to withdraw.
Great, thank you. So if I might ask, Brandy, did you look at, just trying to navigate with the kiddos there, which also a mom of three, so I understand what that looks like. Working on Zoom during COVID was really interesting times.
Tried to do
So
it, it don't work.
yeah, it's tough. So I'm just curious because we're also looking at what students are doing when they're struggling with that. And some of our counties, there aren't even slots available. There are just wait lists. And some, are having to navigate to, surrounding counties because it just doesn't exist. And then some have been sharing how they've been navigating. So I'm just curious, did you just figure out a way that it worked in your household? Did you depend on a neighbor or, a relative or community support? Would you mind to share how you were getting by during that time?
Yeah, it was very stressful. I did have family that did step in and help, but it was just stressful on me because I didn't want to have to depend on them for so much. I was trying to, I was trying to prove myself and all that, and I was just trying to be successful. So yeah, they did step in and help me, but I actually ended up, like I said, transferring. I think the next semester, so I got through it with the support of family.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing a little bit more there. Um, Toby, I will turn it over to you. And if you'd like for me to restate the question, I'm happy to do that as well.
Um, I think I've got the question. Um, I will say something I have really struggled with throughout college, not just like I'm finishing out my sophomore year, so I've only been here for 2 years, but it's something I've noticed it comes in and out in waves is definitely mental health struggles. Um, I do struggle a lot with mental health issues. I had a relatively good childhood, but later in life there was some traumatic things that have happened to me, and that has affected some of my work ethic and everything as well. And uh, especially also, I am an openly non-binary queer person at Eastern Kentucky University. So I have faced some, not very much, but a little bit of hardships because of that as well. And that is something I've had to work through. But we do have the counseling center here at EKU, and it is completely free for all students. And that has been really extremely helpful for me, going to counseling every 2 weeks or so. And they also do they have individual groups and couples therapy. So they do all different kinds of things. I will also say, back to the financial piece, finances is really hard. I have 2 on-campus jobs. So I don't get paid that much. And just trying to balance everything, especially with the price of groceries going up and everything like that. That is a little bit of a struggle, but like I said, we have that bus system that goes, so I don't have to worry about how I get to the grocery store, more so if I can pay for groceries. And if I can't, EKU also has what's called the Colonel's Cupboard and Closet, and they have free food, free clothing, free toiletries, free school supplies, all different kinds of stuff for students. And it's not just pantry food. Also, they go shopping once a week for perishables and stuff like that as well. And that is really helpful for, I know, not just me, but other students as well who face a lot of those financial hardships or stuff like that.
That's really good, Toby. So then I'm going to circle right back to you because it goes into my next question where I want to explore what the support systems look like on campus for you. Just wanted to go a little bit further about that experience if you were able to visit the cupboard and, what that felt like, first of all. Before I had this role, I was a basic needs program coordinator on a campus and also oversaw a pantry. And sometimes I would have to walk students over to the basic needs food pantry because they weren't sure. They weren't sure about going. They'd often talk themselves out of going, and oftentimes I'd hear, "Well, I don't want to go because someone else might need it more than me." And so there's a lot of different things that sometimes kept students from going. But I myself would encourage students to go. I had a lot of other colleagues who would encourage students and walk students over, even just to see it, so that when and if they were ready to go, They knew where to go and find it. And so I'm just curious, you can use that example and speak about it a little bit further, but I'm just curious if you could expound on a service, a program, or a person that was able to help you during a time when you were struggling meeting a basic need.
Yeah, for sure. I do know the like stigma you're talking about with like somebody else needs it more than I do. Um, one of my jobs on campus is a tour guide. So I actually give tours around campus, and that is one thing we do make sure to we stop at and we mention and we talk about it, and we're like, if you are a little like worried about going in there, they do have discreet bagging, like they have shopping bags from Meijer or Walmart or wherever, so that it just looks like you went to Meijer or Walmart, like not even you went to the cupboard, but also it's just like it's there for students. Um, I have used it quite a lot, um, especially with like this semester. It's been a little hard with a lot of things happening in the world, just in general, but getting to the store and stuff can be a little difficult sometimes. So I use it a lot. And then also like something I will brag about with EKU is a lot of the professors here and a lot of the faculty are really involved with the students. I know actually he now works for the Council for Post-Secondary Education. Um, Dr. Miles Ferroli, he used to work here. He was one of my bosses down in the Center for Inclusive Excellence and Global Engagement. And then he moved over to first year courses with all of the freshmen in their freshman orientation class. He has been someone who really helped me with a lot of things throughout my college journey, my identity as a person and everything as well. And like he's just one example. So many of the professors here are really amazing with like if you're having issues or you're struggling or you don't know the answers, if you just go talk to them, they're really nice and they can help you with whatever you need help with as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Toby. So Brandy, I'll kick it over to you. Was there a person, a program, or a service that you could talk about just a little bit that was available, that showed up to help you during a difficult time meeting your student basic needs?
So like what was that?
I think that was an accident. Go
Oh,
right.
okay. So like I said earlier, my classes are online, so I'm not like on campus. But so one thing that I remember that helped me was at the community college they had like it was called Trio, and it was a special little office, and they helped you like when you get into school they look at your classes, see what you need, and they kind of like an advisor kind of, but more in depth, more personal. They kind of got to know you more, and like on a more personal level with your work. So that really helped me a whole lot. I could just call them up if I had a question, or it was like direct access to somebody kind of, instead of having to be transferred and call a bunch of places and stuff. So that really helped me with getting started in my classes and stuff.
Thank you for that. I want to take the time for a second to read this. Toby, this is to you. I don't know if you've been able to see the chat, but Susan Hopkins, thank you for your comment in the chat. Toby, it says, proud of you, Toby, for your work ethic and for searching out and using campus resources like the Kernel Cupboard and counseling services. It's not easy to ask for help. You are doing great. Thank you for being here today to share your experiences. Yes, thank you so much for that comment. And we do recognize that, as you already confirmed, that in part of our Student Based Needs campaign, what we're hoping to do is help to alleviate and break down some of this stigma, because it is difficult to ask for help and navigate some of those resources. So thank you, Toby and Brandy, for those answers. Now I'm going to get into another part where I think it is super helpful to have your voices elevated. And this question is, what do you wish more people on campus, whether it's staff, faculty, or those in leadership, understood about the challenges that students face? So what do you wish that more people on campus understood about the challenges that students face? And if you want to take just a second to kind of process that, if you've already been sitting on that answer, jump right in. But I'll give y'all just a second to process and then jump right in.
I think being active with the students, asking those questions, getting their opinion on stuff, it really helps them to feel valued. And, for me, it really encourages me if I have someone, if I have a leader that knows my name on a firsthand basis and they, they care about what I say, that really helps me a lot to feel like my opinion is heard.
Thank you for that. So I'm hearing being like present, like intentionally present and engaging with students means a lot, that relationship building. Okay. How about you, Toby?
Yeah. I will say that is really helpful. I know like our Dean of Students, Dr. Vance, she is phenomenal. I stayed over the summer and worked for admissions here, and she made an effort to get to know all of us that were here and talk about what we needed and everything like that. She actually got me a new computer because mine stopped working all of a sudden and just like crashed. And she's really amazing, but also, um, I know something EKU is facing right now is the potential of having to pay extra for over 15 credit hours. And it's like a certain amount per credit hour. And that's something like for me as a student, for me to be able to graduate on time and do my student teaching when I'm supposed to, I have like my only option is to take 18 credit hours a semester. And I'm kind of panicking because of how much more I will have to be paying, um, just so I can like take the classes I need to take so I don't have to stay extra, or stay longer than I absolutely have to. And that's something that I think, especially like the EKU higher ups, we've had a petition go around about it. We've had like our student government association put out a thing that was like, how is this going to impact you as a student? And so there's effort being put out there for that, but it's also something that I don't think people think about with like students like me, who I'm paying completely for my college on my own, but also having to worry about all the other stuff I have to pay for as well. And how much more that's going to affect my bill and everything as well.
Oh, thank you. That is very helpful. If we go on and we're looking forward to how we're, you know, looking, these folks that come here to listen to you all today are part of conversations that we have very often in our community of practice. They attend some of our convenings and workshops where we actively try to troubleshoot and we try to look at changing systems and we look at trying to improve things and, alleviate burdens for our students and find ways that we can better show up to encourage your success. Knowing some of the things that we look at comes from research, it comes from recommendations from institutions that are trying it. I'd like to ask you all if you could change something about how basic needs are addressed on our college campuses. What would that look like, or what would that be? If you could change one thing, if there was something that would make things a little bit easier for you, if that was, if there's something that you just feel like should be in place for college students across the state, if you could change one thing about how basic needs are addressed at our campuses or on our campuses, what would that look like? What would that be?
I think For me, specifically, I'm also looking at it through a kind of diversity lens, as I am one of those students that is affected by the DEI initiatives and everything. I definitely think having more resources for our LGBTQIA plus identifying students would be really helpful, like counseling specifically for them. Or I know the cupboard used to have services like uh, clothing and stuff like that for our gender nonconforming students. That's no longer something that's really in effect there anymore, but having stuff like that, talking about that, because sometimes it can be really hard to like even just talk to a mental health professional about like my transition or my identity as a queer person where I'm living or anything like that. Because it's sometimes really hard to find somebody who understands those that path that I've taken to get to where I want to be as well.
Thank you for that, Toby. How about you, Brandy?
Well, I was kind of thinking of a couple different things. I know that I had a hard time when not when I first started college, but this time when I started college, just being educated on, the classes that I needed to take for the degree I was getting. And I was never really explained a whole lot. I was just I told them I wanted to get a business degree. And so they started putting me in these classes. Well, when I was at the community college, I had been going for about a year and a half. And when I went and asked them how long it would be before I would have my associate's degree, they told me that it would still be like another 2 years. And so I was really confused by that. How a 2-year degree, I should have been almost done, but they couldn't explain it to me. They just told me that I didn't have the classes that I needed. And so that really hurt me. That put me behind. So, if that could be addressed, make sure people are in the right classes for what they're trying to get, make sure they're educated on it, on what they're doing. Because I know for me, I didn't know a thing when I really even know how to use a computer hardly when I first started. And so I was just kind of jumping into it. And I think a lot of people that I deal with, they get, I don't know the word I'm looking for, maybe deterred or, they, somebody may not want to go to school because of all the things. There's a lot of information about school and stuff, and that can, for me, it kind of threw me off a little bit. So yeah, I think, maybe a better orientation, just educating people more on what they're doing, maybe. And of course, mental health too. I think mental health is a big one, because a lot of people, we're all humans, we're all going through stuff. Life is hard, and we're going to deal with stuff, and just having those resources available to be able to go and, talk to a therapist. I know at one point I needed to see a therapist, but I couldn't afford it. I didn't have health insurance and I couldn't afford it. And so I just kind of dealt with it myself and, used friends as therapists and stuff to work through that. So that was another thing that I had ran into too, was the mental health part of it.
Thank you for that, Brandy. Just want y'all to know that I'm super intentional about this. I am making notes for us to having a conversation with those of us who are going a little bit deeper into the student voice piece. Okay, so one of my last questions before we shift a little bit is, what helps you to stay motivated and keep going despite some of these challenges?
For me, it's people. I've just made sure that I surround myself with good people, good motivating people. People just telling me, pushing me when I say I don't think I can do this. They let me know that I can. So that's been a big help, just having caring people in my life and people that want to see me succeed.
So, how about you, Toby?
I think that along the same lines as that, people, but also like seeing where I want to be within the next few years and like why I constantly have to like sit there and think like, okay, why am I here? What is my purpose at EKU? Why do I want to get this degree? And just like really focus on where I want to be within the next few years and where I want to be once I achieve this degree and once I graduate as well. That really helps me stay motivated. But then also people, talking to people, meeting new people, making sure you like can have certain conversations and stuff like that that some people don't have about like mental health or tutoring if you need help with tutoring or stuff like that as well.
So, okay. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for that. And as I'd already discussed with our students, we were going to make sure that we had some time available to open the floor, to have a little bit of a conversation, and accept a few questions from those of you all who are joining us from your institutions that are showing up as staff and faculty, leadership, connectors, community partners. What are some of your questions? You can unmute or you could even put it in the chat. But as we navigate our student voice piece, you know, this is a great opportunity to just try out and explore some of these things that we're curious about knowing a bit more from students who are representing a couple of our institutions across the state. So I will open the floor and give it a couple of seconds. If not, I can open it up with one of the questions I know that was posed in one of our institutional or agency conversations. Okay. Well, I will go ahead and ask you all this next question. And it's something that one of our campus partners, they're at a university who has some of the same resources that some of the other campuses have. They've got food covered, they've got the counseling center, you know, they have these resources in place, but have shared that they continue to struggle with, you know, getting the students to actively use those resources and services that are provided there. I know that you all are just individual people. You can't speak for all of the student body, but you know, if you could process some of your conversations with your peers, why might you think some of the struggles are with getting students connected or going into utilizing those resources? And if you have something in mind as a student, both you, Toby, and Brandy have, you know, different situations and circumstances that you can kind of view that a little bit differently. What do you think are some things that some of your peers might find helpful to allow them to use those resources?
Maybe just being aware that those resources are there and available for them. Um, well, I was going to say maybe, well, it's left me now. I'll think of it in a second.
It's okay. I really think that is, I mean, you started off even with that statement is strong. So awareness. We've done a survey. I'm not sure if anyone on here, did anyone take the student basic needs or Trellis survey a few years ago? If y'all can just do the hands up or put in the chat. I'm just curious because when we participated across the state in both of those surveys, we were able to find out, you know, what students' needs were. And we were able to also look at where the disconnect was. And a lot of it was students were unaware of the resources that were on campus or the resources that were in their community. If they knew about it, they didn't know how to get there. They didn't know the hours or the contact or how the program operated. And so it would just deter them from using the resources and services. So I think you hit it pretty big with that, Brandy, with the awareness, making sure students know it's great to have it, but if students don't know that it's there and how to use it, we're not really helping the students the way that we intend to.
Yeah, and also how, that's another thing I was going to say is how accessible it is. Is it easy to get to? Do they have to sign a bunch of paperwork to do it? Do they got to show IDs? Do they have to, what is the process of that? Make them aware of that, so they can be prepared if they do need to do that.
That's good. That's good. Thank you very much. Toby, do you have anything to share?
Yeah, I think not only having the students aware, but also like faculty and staff and professors and everything, because yeah, it says it in the syllabus. I know at EKU all of our syllabus have like has to have in there the counseling center and all the things, but even then, like some of the professors don't even know what they do or what their hours are or anything like that. And also like we have student health services on campus. It is completely free for students, but it's also like how accessible it is and if like even just faculty and staff know about it. Because that's another thing that I've noticed is like I didn't even know about the counseling center until one of my bosses was like, well, have you thought about checking this out? And I'm like, no, I didn't even know that was here. Um, and like, I really think the importance of the professors and the faculty and staff on campus knowing of those resources and like how to get there. Maybe not what their hours are, because that seems a little complicated, but like at least like knowing if they have a website or not, or if you can call them or not, or stuff like that as well.
That's really good, Toby. I appreciate you sharing that. And part of our communications and basic needs awareness, part of that project, we are looking at creating an opportunity for training. And there's the brief training that could be provided as onboarding to staff and faculty and those who provide services directly to students, where they can be trained to know like what are the high level supports on campus and what might be those go-to resources in the community, and what are the things that we look for if you're trying to identify that a student is struggling. What do we look for with that? How might we look at some things that might be symptoms and signs of a student living with some food insecurities or housing insecurities? Like, what are those things that we look for? And so we're really excited to begin doing some of that work, and we'll be reaching out to a lot of our campus partners as soon as we get one of our contracts finalized with the Hope Center to begin building out this work. And so we're really excited to be able to fill in that gap that you've just pointed out, Toby. So I'm really excited to even hear you say that as a need, because we see it as well. I do have a question in the chat that I would read from Summer, and it is, what is the best way to communicate the availability of on-campus resources? Is it email? Is it word of mouth? Is it text? Is it some other form of communication? For you all, what are some of the ways that you think are the best ways to communicate?
I would think maybe like a post on a bulletin board or something. If they have like, if the campuses have like a community board or something, maybe post them on there. People, because maybe like a resource board of some sort. Just so they can go there, find the resources, see what they need for that. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Toby, what do you think? What are some ways that have even worked for you?
I definitely think word of mouth is really important. I would say email, but I'm like the odd percent of students who actually check my email every day. I know my partner, I'll be like, oh, did you get this email? My partner's like, I don't check my email. I'm like, you should be checking your email. but not everybody looks at their email, so that might not be extremely helpful, but I definitely think word of mouth and also maybe like, I don't know, the resource board is a really good idea. Especially like having it in like the student center, or like where students mainly are. So like either the student center or the dining hall or something like that, could be really helpful.
Okay. Thank you for that. I have
I'm
another one.
sorry. I was
Sure.
trying to raise my hand, but I can't get the little thing to pop up, so I'm sorry.
I'm glad for you to go ahead and jump in. Sure, go ahead.
Um, most counties have a little coalition that exists within them. They're all usually something different, but a lot of them are funded by your mental health services and stuff like that.
I think we're
Coalitions
losing you.
offer resource books that have all of the community resources that students and depending it is that might need it. Basic transportation or medical and SNAP benefits or job fairs. It usually has like all of those things in it with as a FYI, because I used the one in our county.
And Pamela, if you don't mind, I'm taking notes and I'm getting a little bit of what you're saying. It's going out just a little bit. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could put the name of the coalition, if they have like a overhead in the chat, that would be amazing. I appreciate you sharing that
Yes.
resource with us today. Thank you. Okay, and we have another in the comment, and we have it says, I understand that EKU accepts SNAP benefits for students at their cafeterias and stores. Is this something that you've looked into, Toby?
I will say I do believe the only place that does take SNAP is the we have what's called our pod. It stands for Provisions on Demand, and there's two on campus. We have one in our main dining hall, and then we have one over in the Stratton Cafe, in the Stratton building, which is across the bypass on the other side of campus. And I do last I heard, the SNAP benefits was only at the pod in Stratton. And also getting SNAP or Medicaid or stuff like that can be really difficult for some students. I know I tried to get it and it just wasn't working because my parents didn't take me off theirs, or like I was still on there. Something was making it to where it wasn't working and I'm not able to get my own. But I do know a lot of students who that has been really helpful. And I know Dr. Laura Vance, I mentioned her earlier. She is the Dean of Students here. She is really helpful when it comes to stuff like that, especially like meeting the basic needs of students. I just don't think a lot of people know who she is on campus, or that like she does all of those things either. So I definitely think you're talking about resources. She's a really great resource for us here at EKU. I know I've used her a lot, but yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Brandy, did you have something to share? I know the next question was, did you gravitate towards a particular faculty member when you needed information about resources? And did you have a mentor on campus?
Actually, I was going to speak up on community resources. I actually work for Volunteers of America, and so what we do, I actually work in the work reintegration part, and so we can actually pay for students to go to school to learn a trade. And I know a lot of things they struggle with, that I've seen is, getting the equipment that they need and stuff. For like we send people like to the welding and do stuff like that. But Volunteers of America is a good resource for that because they will pay for the tools and stuff that you need once you get into school and stuff, and they kind of help you with that. So that's a pretty good community resource that we have.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And then I am curious, Brandy, with you coming in to college as an adult and parenting student, did you gravitate toward any particular faculty or staff member for support?
Really, just my advisor. I speak with my advisor, Erin, quite a bit, and she's really good. That's the good thing about University of the Cumberlands. Like, they are quick with responses. Because when I first started, like I said, I really struggled with just knowing about college. There's so much to it. And she, was just real quick to respond back to me, making sure she gets me in the right classes for my degree that I'm pursuing, making sure they count. And all that, just really being there and just really putting her time into it and really caring, that really helped me.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I'm also being mindful of the time. I think I've got all of the questions in the chat. And want to again thank you all for being here as our panel speakers, for being available to just allow us to kind of, explore your thoughts, your experiences, and help to inform some of the work that we're about to kick off and begin doing in our student basic needs. So again, Toby and Brandy, thank you so much for being with us today and being open and vulnerable with your experiences. To the rest of you all that are on here today, again, thank you all for being here. I hope to see some of you all join us and be a part of the conversations that we're going to be having with our communications project. It has been delayed just a little bit, and we're really excited to get it going. We were really trying to get things on track with one of our contracts, as I mentioned, with Hope Center. Hope Center will be helping to lead some of this work with our communications project. It is going to involve, as I, was following up with Toby's answer about having campus staff and faculty aware of the resources as well. So providing that sort of like a student basic needs 101 kind of resource training. We're looking forward to offering that. But one that we are also starting and hope to have it going sooner than that one is the basic needs awareness campaign that would involve as many campuses that we can across the state. Hope Center has done a lot of work like this in the past, and they came in with some great proposals and ideas. But one of the things that the first group kind of shared is that they were very adamant, and I understand and agree, that this awareness campaign looks like Kentucky, that it represents Kentucky. And so while we can take a lot of the information and services that have been previously used and provided by Hope Center, we want them to guide us on our work. We want them to inform our work, but we want to make sure that it is totally and completely Kentucky branded. So if you are interested in being a part of the Basic Needs Awareness Campaign, gathering some students to have a student voice conversation, maybe you put together a panel on your campus, maybe you gather a group of students to do a survey. Hope Center is working with us to do all of these things. So if you're interested in participating and being a part of this amazing project to bring awareness to student basic needs, I would hope that you could reach out to me. You can shoot me an email. Just let me know you're interested. I'll make sure that you're put on the contact list. I'm also very excited to share that those of you all who are interested in participating and seeing the project all the way through, it's a large project. So there's other pieces to it. But if you're interested in seeing it all the way through from beginning to end, you let me know, and I can also share with you how your campus could be eligible for one of our sub-grants. So that is an amazing opportunity that we have to offer our campuses with getting this work done on your campuses, but as well as being able to provide a sub-grant to you while you're getting this resource in place. So again, thank you all for joining us today, and I hope to see you all the next time.